Your truck did not break down. It was told to. That is the part nobody at the dealership is going to explain to you when you bring in a 3-year-old pickup with 60,000 miles and walk out with a repair estimate that costs more than your first car. They are going to talk about wear, about heat cycles, about normal degradation. What they are not going to mention is that the engine management system sitting between you and every moving part under that hood is running on a calibration that was never designed to protect you past the warranty expiration date. It was designed to protect them. This is not a theory. This is engineering with a financial motive behind it. Modern trucks, the ones built in the last decade with direct injection, variable valve timing, cylinder deactivation, and turbocharged small displacement engines, are not built around a simple mechanical relationship between driver and machine anymore. They are built around a software layer. Every fuel trim, every ignition event, every cooling fan cycle, every transmission shift point is filtered through a powertrain control module that the manufacturer programmed, that the manufacturer can update, and that only the manufacturer's dealership network can fully access. You do not own that software. You never did. You bought the truck. They kept the brain. And here's where it gets specific. The calibration tables inside a modern powertrain control module are not static. They are written with tolerance windows, and those tolerance windows can be set tight or loose depending on what the manufacturer wants that truck to do at a given mileage. There are engineers who have spent careers building predictive degradation into these systems, not to warn you, not to help you maintain the vehicle, to ensure that when a component reaches the edge of its designed lifespan, the failure is dramatic enough to require dealer-level diagnostics and expensive enough to make repair feel irrational compared to a new payment. Mechanics who have worked on late-model GM trucks with the active fuel management cylinder deactivation system have watched this play out in real time. The lifter failure pattern on those 5.3 and 6.2-liter engines was not a random defect. It was a predictable consequence of running an oiling system through a deactivation mechanism that was designed to save fuel on paper and collapse under real-world towing, hauling, and cold start cycling. Trucks used the way trucks are supposed to be used. The system fails right around the time the powertrain warranty runs out, and the fix requires pulling the engine. Dealers quote $8,000 to $12,000. The manufacturer calls it normal wear. Mechanics call it what it is. Ford's EcoBoost program did the same thing from a different angle. Shrink the displacement, add a turbo, tune the powertrain control module to deliver V8 numbers on paper, then watch what happens when that direct injection system starts carboning up the intake valves because there's no fuel washing them clean the way port injection used to. The powertrain control module does not compensate for carbon buildup in a way that protects the engine. It compensates in a way that masks the symptoms until the truck is past 60 or 70,000 miles and the misfire codes start stacking. By then, you're out of warranty, and you're looking at an intake cleaning, possible injector replacement, and, if you ignored it long enough, scored cylinder walls. What they do not tell you is that the powertrain control module knew. The fuel trim data, the long-term adaptations, the misfire counters, all of it logged, all of it time-stamped. When you walk into a dealership with a complaint, they plug in their scan tool and they're reading a history that was written while you were driving. They know exactly when that truck started struggling. They also know when your warranty expired. The limp mode conversation needs to happen here because a lot of owners don't understand what limp mode actually is. It's not a safety feature in the way they market it to you. It's a software cage. When the powertrain control module decides a parameter is outside its programmed threshold, it locks you into reduced power, reduced engine speed, sometimes locks out transmission gears, and it won't release that lockout without a dealer scan and a cleared fault.
Some of these faults cannot be cleared with an aftermarket scanner. The manufacturer intentionally builds repair dependency into the fault recovery process. You can't fix it in your driveway. That's not an accident. Diesel owners have lived this the longest and the hardest. The diesel exhaust fuel systems, the diesel particulate filter, the exhaust gas recirculation, the selective catalytic reduction catalyst, all of it managed by a separate emissions control module that can throw a no-start condition if it decides the diesel exhaust fuel quality is wrong, the regeneration cycle failed, or the system hasn't been serviced through an approved process. There are fleet operators in agricultural states who have had brand new work trucks go into a countdown to derate cycle during harvest because a sensor flagged a fault and the nearest dealer was 4 hours away. The truck functions perfectly mechanically. The software decided otherwise. That's control. That's not engineering for reliability. Here's what's happening in the shadows of the used truck market right now. Older trucks are getting hoarded, not restored, hoarded. Pre-2007 diesels that predate the diesel particulate filter requirement. Carbureted trucks from the 70s and early 80s that have zero emissions hardware and zero computer dependency. Mechanical injection diesel trucks from the late 80s and 90s that you can rebuild with hand tools in a field. These trucks have no powertrain control module to lock you out, no diagnostic port for a dealer to read your history through, no subscription feature waiting to be unlocked for a monthly fee, no over-the-air update that changes your shift points without your consent. Mechanics who understand what's coming have been picking these trucks up at auction for years. A mid-90s OBS Ford with a 7.3-liter IDI or a first-gen Power Stroke, a second- or third-gen Cummins before the emissions stranglehold, a square-body GM truck with a carbureted 350 that will start in 40 below zero without asking a satellite for permission. These are not collector cars. They are functional resistance to a system that has spent the last 20 years building dependency into transportation. The right to repair movement exists because this problem is real and documented and spreading beyond trucks into farm equipment, into motorcycles, into anything with a microcontroller and a proprietary diagnostic interface. John Deere built machines that physically will not operate certain functions without a dealer technician present to authenticate the repair through their software system. The same logic is already in your truck. The manufacturers want a world where you do not own what you bought. You license it, you subscribe to it, you bring it back to them when it needs attention, and you pay what they decide to charge because you have no alternative. Right now, in most states, independent shops can't access manufacturer-level diagnostic functions without purchasing licenses that cost tens of thousands of dollars annually. The tools exist, the data exists, they built a wall around it and called it intellectual property. What you can do today is know what you own and know what it costs you. If you're driving a modern truck under warranty, document everything. Scan it yourself with an aftermarket tool and understand that the clock is running. If you're buying a used truck, understand that the repair ecosystem for late-model vehicles is not the same world that existed 10 years ago. And if you're sitting on an older mechanical truck, a real one with a carburetor or a mechanical diesel pump, understand what that truck is actually worth in a world where the alternative is a monthly subscription to turn on your heated seats and a $15,000 repair estimate from someone who has a financial interest in your truck failing on schedule. What was the repair that made you finally stop trusting the dealership? Drop it in the comments. I guarantee you're not alone. If you're done letting manufacturers decide what your truck is allowed to do, subscribe. This channel is for the people who still believe you should own what you paid for.